are you? Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to a new emission of the Laura Pipkin Show. As you know, once in a while, Mark Pipkin is with us, and today's topic that we have is marriage. As you know, we're married, so we're married since 7 years, so we became experts in marriage. And we're here. Experts. So we're here to give you some advice. No, we're here to talk about the topic, just in general, to share some things that have worked for us that may work in your marriage too. So I would like to start by asking Mark. Well, first, Mark, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to be here as usual.
Well, the good thing is that we have someone that speaks English very well. So if you don't understand something, you can ask Mark.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Mark, I'm going to start with a question for you, my love.
Okay.
What does marriage mean for you?
What does marriage mean for me? For me, marriage was finding somebody to share your life with who has similar values, similar dreams, similar backgrounds in a way, even if we're from different countries. But the most important thing is someone who I guess has similar ideas for the future, because if with all that, if you both want to go in different directions, it's not going to work. So to me, that's what marriage means, is finding somebody who basically I can enjoy all my adventures with in the future, who's not just going to come along, but basically we're going together. We both want to go that way. It's not like one person just tagging along with the other. We both are in this to do it
Synchrony, harmony.
in harmony, right?
Yeah. No, and you say mentioned very important. He said share, that he was looking for, well, in marriage, it means that for him marriage means for him sharing. So I totally agree with him because he's my husband. So I need to agree with him. It's not this no, he's right in the sense that nowadays a lot of young marriages think that when you get married is more because, oh my God, I'm incomplete. I need someone that is going to complete me. I think that this doesn't work very well. I think that it's better when you say, okay, I'm a complete person. He's a complete person. So what we're going to do is that we're going to share what the other has. And for example, I'm going to share all my abilities. I'm going to share my time. I'm going to share what I am in a good sense, my love. And he's going to do the same. And well, in all sense, no, at the end it's a marriage. So, well, marriage for me, I can say that means, besides sharing, means to be with the person that you love, be with the person that you truly love, and stay with this person for the rest of your life. Means that you're going to have your best friend, with the person with the one you're going to have all this complicity. Because something that we have noticed, well, I have noticed that, I don't know if he has noticed that, is that we have complicity. There are many times in the ones that something happens out there on the street with some people, and we just look each other. Immediately I know what he's thinking, and he knows what I'm thinking. So we have arrived to the moment in our lives that we know the other very well, that we are connected through complicity. So sometimes also by educating our daughter, we have this similar way to do it. And I try not to speak when he's telling her something, and he tries not to speak when I'm telling her something. We try. Something is difficult, but we try. So
anyway, I didn't mention anything about love and what it means to me. That kind of goes without saying, the part about love.
Yeah.
I didn't think I needed to. That's why I didn't say it.
He's a man, so men think different than women. So women were more romantic. Men are romantic if they find the right partner. Because Mark has told me that he used not to be romantic. he started being romantic with me. And I never have asked him to be romantic. I never asked him to give me flowers. And several times he has arrived with flowers and it's like, oh my God. So,
And it wasn't just when I was in trouble.
and it wasn't just when he was in trouble. It has been for my birthday or one day just because it was a day that he considered that I was gonna good to send me some flowers and he did. Obviously, I appreciate it a lot. And he sent me flowers with some chocolates with what is it?
A little teddy bear.
A little teddy bear. I still have the teddy bear, the chocolates. I don't have them anymore, neither the flowers.
Natalie's hijacked the teddy bear, but
Yeah, she took ownership of it. Okay, Mark, how do you think marriages have changed through life? Well, through the last 100 years.
the last 100 years. Well, I wasn't around 100 years ago, but I'm going to go by what I know from, history. And obviously there's a lot more opportunities for people now. And I'm not talking about not just opportunities for marriage, but it's a much smaller world. People can get around so much easier than they could 100 years ago. 100 years ago, chances are you were going to marry somebody who lived within a few blocks of you, right? Now you can find your wife in another country, right? Obviously Mexico and the United States are border countries, but I mean, there's people who find their spouses in China or Brazil, Europe, and it's much easier to do that now with the changing times and how technology's gotten better. There's more ways to communicate with people, more ways to meet people. I know people who've meet people online, then they go visit them, and then they start dating in this weird way, and next thing you know, they're married. So that's one way, and with coming with that though, it has been a lot of also. There's been a lot of the change in opportunities in other areas. Some people now put marriage on the back burner, for a career or for whatever they choose to do, maybe just to live a life of adventure,
Yes.
And so people will get married a lot later. I was in my 50s when I got married.
Yes.
But I think and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's one of the ways things are different. Obviously 100 years ago, I don't remember when the airplane was invented, but chances are you weren't going to meet your wife on the other side of the world back in 1925, right?
Yes.
So, not to mention, career options were a lot less. There's a lot more career options now for men and women. Back then, there probably weren't a lot for women at all. So, again, people usually they married somebody in their hometown. Now much less. I wonder I don't know what the percentage is now, but I'm sure it's a lot lower. Anyway, that's a few ways.
Well, this with my love, we got married and we were in opposite sides because we were in Michigan, that is in the north of the United States,
Mm-hmm.
and it was in Guadalajara, that is kind of
the southern part.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So how it happened, we don't know.
Yeah.
Destiny, God. No, and then as Mark said, there are a lot of things that now make the marriages not be like they were in 100 years ago. Because, for example, I remember in Mexico, it was normal because obviously Mexico has some origins in Spain. So it was normal for people to get into a marriage that was arranged. So, for example, I knew, my grandma told me, the mother of my mom, that she decided to go against that. And she didn't marry with the person that is supposed that she was arranged. She decided to marry with my grandpa. And she had some issues later. Her family accepted, but she had issues. So later when my mom came and my mom decided to get married, so my mom decided to who she was going to get married, when she was going to get married, and how many kids she was going to have. So if we already talk about feminisms. So we have some information there, But the opportunities, as Mark said, the opportunities women have got through this, especially last 15 or I can say 30 years from now, maybe 50 years from now, well, 50 years ago to now, all these new opportunities have made us as women to change marriages, to change the culture or marriage, because now we are choosing with who we're gonna marry, and it doesn't need to be the neighbor, it doesn't need to be the guy in our community. Sometimes, for example, in my case, it was a foreigner. I didn't want a Mexican. Sorry, guys, for the ones that are Mexicans. I saw some of them. I'm gonna say, no, we don't lose anything. Don't worry, it's okay.
No.
It's okay. I don't care, but I feel sad. No, I decided to get married with Mark. That he was a foreigner, but this is how how the things have changed around the world. So now we have a lot of interracial marriages that in the past, for part of the culture, they didn't exist. They didn't exist. Now we have them, and apparently things are working well. But obviously now how we have more freedom in choosing the person with the one that with the one we want to get married, we are getting more divorces. So that is kind of the price we're paying for it, because in the past, especially for example in Indian culture, in Romani culture, in some cultures here in Mexico, in United States, in Mexico, in Latin America, there are families that still have this tradition of arranged marriages, and they have less opportunity to get divorced, because something that they did that they don't is that they take care that the person they're choosing for his son, for his daughter, is going to be someone with the same set of values the family has, with a personality that matches, with someone that they get involved with the family of the other of the partner, or yeah, the family of the partner. So they create this connection. And another thing is that they try to give advice every time they have a problem, something that nowadays we're lacking in marriages. For example, I can say, sorry, my love, I extended too much because there is some important things. For example, now, Mark, I was almost 40 when I got married with Mark. We're gonna lay the things in that way. And Mark was almost 50. Well, almost 50. We're gonna lay the things in that way. So we were already mature. We knew exactly what we were looking for in life. We weren't playing. But there are some marriages that they start very young, and they're just kind of here, there. Okay, I get married. If this doesn't work, I still can divorce and get married again. And we know friends that have gotten married like 3 or 4 times. So that's crazy. So, and they still haven't found the right person for them, because I think that also we were talking in the morning in breakfast time, that the world has become so selfish that now people just think in their needs. They are not thinking in the needs of the people around them. For example, a lot of women say, okay, I'm a woman, I'm thinking in my needs, but I'm not thinking in the needs of my husband. So I want to supply my needs. I don't care about his needs. So what about me, no? And sometimes we do the same thing with kids. It's like, for example, I take care of my needs. I don't care about the needs of my daughter, of my kids. So we're becoming so selfish that I think that's the reason for the why that most of the marriages are not working. And it's the way they have changed. Now with in summarizing everything, it's like now with all the advantages that we have, we can get a partner all around the world. We can choose a person with the one we want to get married but by choosing, we're not paying enough attention to the values the person has. We're not paying too much attention in solving the basic problems that we face in a marriage. And another thing for us has become very easy to get divorced. If it doesn't work, I can divorce and get married again. So this is my point of view, my love.
No, I mean, you're right about that. It's like, again, you like to watch that show Arranged, where they have basically they show a bunch of people in arranged marriages, and they claim that the arranged marriages in the long run work better than the non-arranged marriages. So why is that? Why would that happen? And you think about it, well, when they go into these arranged marriages, I mean, obviously right off the bat, this is something that's going to take work, right? They're gonna have to work on. This is like, okay, you two are starting a family, and it requires both of you to put in the effort to make things go properly. Now, and I think most people know that even when they're not in an arranged marriage, but at the same time, there's that little part in a lot of people's heads where you think that everything's just supposed to kind of go in this direction naturally.
Yes.
Everything's just supposed to go perfect all the time. And then when things don't go perfect, it's very easy now to just say, well, forget it. You can find another spouse online.
Yeah, sometimes. No, that's true.
And again, that's a very simple statement, and certainly it doesn't apply to every marriage or every person. But there are probably people out there who are that simple about it. I mean, you look at some of these people in Hollywood. I don't know what
Some celebrities, what they're looking for. No, and especially with these, Heimer says two things. The first thing is like, when I think back in how Mexico was in the past and how the marriages were, I can tell you my grandma, the mom of my mom, their marriage lasted for 63 years. Their marriage, my grandma and my grandpa. From the side of my dad, the marriage of my grandma and my grandpa lasted for 44 years. And my mom and my dad, their marriage lasted for 36 years. And it was because my mom passed away. So this is the background that I have in marriages. Because, well, I told you before that their marriages, I don't know the marriage of the parents of my dad. If they were arranged, I'm pretty sure that they were arranged. Pretty sure. Because my dad, he comes from a very small community in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the forest. So sometimes they got married with the second or the third cousin. This is the way that it was in these arranged marriages. Now, thanks God, this hasn't happened in my family. However, close family members that I have, for example, aunts, uncles, some cousins, they have gotten divorced because they married with someone that they really didn't know, or they didn't want to fight for the person, because when you get married you have to constantly fight to make the relationship work. So they just got divorced. I have an uncle that he has married like 4 times. I have another that has married like 7 times. And I have a very close friend that she has married like 7 times too, and she's my age. She's like over 40, and she has married 7 times. 7. So imagine, sometimes I'm thinking that it was better to arrange their marriage instead of getting divorced so many times.
Right. No, I mean, I agree. Again, my Aunt Bernice, who just passed away, her and my Uncle John were married for 65 years. I'm sure they had their ups and downs, but they had a great marriage. And how many people that are just getting married today will still be married 65 years from now?
Yeah.
Probably not a lot, but yet when we look at our grandparents and our aunts and uncles, our own parents, you'll see it's not uncommon for them to still be with their original spouses. And that's something I find admirable about the past,
Yes.
the way things were. So.
No, another thing that Mark said is about how people do in marriages. Because, for example, like the way that you see here us, it's like we have fight, and sometimes we are so happy in the marriage, like everything. We have lived times in the ones we don't have any issue, and we really need to fight. Because when we don't have any issue, any problem between us, the marriage becomes boring. So there are times in the ones that we're like bored, like, so we just try to make it work. Because but for example, we can talk about some issues that we have faced, but something that also I think that we have learned is to communicate. I need to say that I worked in training with people for so long, and I like people. And I can say that something that I have detected in life, two things. One is education and not education that we get in the schools, the education that we get from home. This is a priority, something very important. The second thing is communication. If we learn how to communicate with each other, and communicate is also being able to active listening. So if I don't listen him, and sometimes it happens because he's telling me something, and I'm like, oh yes, thinking my mind is in another place, and I'm thinking, oh yes, yes. And he said, my love, you know what I told you? Yep. What did I tell you? "Mm, I don't know. Can you please repeat it? The same way. But for example, we have learned in not getting upset with the other because the same way that I have opportunity areas, he has opportunity areas. And we have found that I have found that he's not perfect. I'm not perfect. We're working together to, I'm working to get my best version that I can be. And he's working to get his best version that he can be in the marriage. And we're working this together.
And the fact that we started so late, like I said, I was in my 50s. When you're really set in your ways, as we were, I had a lot to change, admittedly. Living into my 50s as a single man, and then all of a sudden I'm in a family relationship. I had a lot to change. She let me know.
No.
And she was right, because, and it's not that I was just naturally a selfish person, but you get in the habit of if you're by yourself, you get in a habit of just taking care of yourself. So it's a habit, it's a habitual thing, and you just it's something, which is something I had to get over, whereas somebody who gets married in their, at 21 probably wouldn't have nearly as much of a problem with that, even though they're obviously not as mature. At least they'll be starting off at a younger age and get used to thinking in a family situation more than just by themselves. And so that was one of the big things I had to change, admittedly. So
No, another thing is like, for example, women. I got married with him when I was 40. So, well, close to 40. I'm gonna say 36. I was 36 when I got married. No, and being a professionist, a person, like I'm working for a company or working for companies, wherever, no? I told you in a video before that I was a single mom. I had a 3 years old girl. So I was, how do I say, independent in a way, and I was a control freak, literally a control freak. I'm gonna say that the women who tell you, the woman who tells you that she's not a control freak and she's over 30, over 25, she's lying. Because as a woman, and considering all the friends that I have that are women, and another thing is the most of my friends are professionals. So, or professionals and professionals, they are what? So, all of them are control freak. So when we are control freak and we take decisions by ourselves, it's difficult to adapt to a marriage, to start taking decisions based on asking him, like, my love, what do you think about this? So when he arrives and, my love, sometimes I was doing something, why did you do it? Why you didn't tell me that you were gonna do that? I just did it, no? But it wasn't working, really. Being a control freak all the time and taking decisions by myself, and we're not consulting him, we're not letting him know, we're not making a team with him, it was causing issues in our marriage. So something that we found is that we have to communicate, and we have to communicate even in the small things. For example, if we're gonna, how much money do we have to make the groceries? So how much we're gonna spend? For example, for the times, okay, he's working, so how we're gonna adapt the times to have time for us? how we're going to educate our daughter, because now it's not my daughter, now it's our daughter. Where are we gonna go? How we're gonna go to visit this family? Well, we know that when we get married, we don't like all the family, no? But at the end, we don't get married just with them. In a way, we get married also with the family. So, communication is very important because obviously, and considering that our marriage is an interracial marriage, interracial marriage, there were things that in my culture work in a way, and in American culture they work different. So we went to see some family members, and some people made some comments. So I got upset for what they say. And later I told you that I was a freaking control freak. But also women, when you are at a certain age, you learn how to be a bitch. So sorry, this is for adult people, this is not for kids. So that's the reason I need to be honest. So I started bitching this woman. And I went to speak directly with him. I started bitching her because she said this, and that, and I didn't like what she said. She didn't have the right to say it because the woman thought that I didn't speak English, that I wasn't understanding anything she was saying, but I understood everything. And he defended me when this situation happened. But these are kind of the things that you have to take care when you are married. You have to communicate everything, but at the end also you have to be team. In this case, it wasn't appropriate what this person said, and he defended me. But also I was clear with him, and wasn't good what I did, and I told him, I'm doing this, but it's not good what I'm doing. So I just decided to stop because I love him, and he already had defended me, so there wasn't any reason to continue fighting. Fighting like a lady, like very sophisticated fight.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna ask the next question, my love.
Absolutely. Let's move on.
This
Spend a lot of
coming
time about
that Okay. What kind of marriages do you think exist and the reason to marry?
Okay. Well, let's see. I suppose people get married for a lot of different reasons. It could be obviously many people get married for love,
Yeah.
which is what we all deem the right reason to get married. I'm sure there are a lot of people get married for money. People get married for status. People get married for, I don't know, I guess maybe they just, I know people who
For
wanted to get
sex.
married just because they didn't know what else to do next. They thought it was like next on the life checklist, So, I mean, and I suppose all these ways can work if you have again, it all depends on the right partner.
Or if you are able to pay the price.
Or if you're able to pay the price. Yeah, because there's always going to be a price, right? Say, again, you see plenty of people out there who are married for money, right? It's usually some really young girl and some really old man. Okay.
I'm not young.
Right. But and I don't have any money. But the downside, okay, the good part is that if you marry in that, you get to marry into money. The downside is you gotta live with probably somebody who's a control freak and very demanding, and you can look at that in a lot.
About me?
No. No, my love.
Okay. Continue.
No, but I mean, again, that's just like you said. You got to be able, whatever reason you get married. If both sides accept the terms, it can work. However, you do got to be able to pay the price. Like you said, there are going to be things you got to deal with in each particular type of marriage that you wouldn't deal with in maybe just a simple "I married you for love" type of marriage. Obviously, there's always going to be challenges, but there can be more of them in some of these other ways.
Just because something that I have seen is that when you get married for love, obviously you have some movies, especially when you're a kid, have taught us that the man is a frog and you kiss the frog and becomes a prince. Sometimes the things in real life don't work that way. So sometimes you have the prince, you kiss the prince, and the prince becomes a frog. Literally, men start gaining weight, they start losing their hairs, and they start looking very far from what they look when you got married with them. Women the same. So women became frogs too. And with this shit, with this okay, forget it. No, so that's also for when I consider that it's very important that you get married for love, or at least because you have some sympathy with the person you're getting married. Because obviously, it's not just the physical appearance where it's gonna change. Is you are gonna smell the feet of the other person. Women and men, there are women that have very nasty smell on their feet. You're gonna so sometimes if you get sick, I have gotten sick and I have been on bed and he has had to do a lot of things to attend me. And obviously when I was sick, I think that I last like 4 or 5 days with no showering. Imagine how I was sweating a lot. Imagine just my smell. I think that was terrible. So when you get married because you love the person, you don't care about these things. One day he got sick we went to Florida and he got sick and I was taking care of him. So really, really, you need to love the person to be able to, when he or she farts, to, it's like nature, it's part of what body does, no? Sure. And it's like when they poop, when they get sick, and they smell very bad, with a lot of things. When you love the person, these things is like you don't see them nasty. It's like part of life. It's kind of when you have your mom, your dad, or your grandpas that they are old and you have to take care of them. You do it and you do it because you love them. I remember that sometimes I had to my grandma, the mom of my mom, I had to clean her uh, because she wasn't able to do it by herself. She wasn't able to go to the bathroom. And I never saw that this was nasty. Or, for example, the mom of my dad, I had to give her a shower and I never felt that it was bad. With my husband, the same. It's like, it's when with my dad, with my husband. Why? Because I love them. I truly love them. So I don't see anything wrong with this. It's part of life. But imagine when you get married for money, the good thing is that you have money because if you have money, you can hire someone that is going to do it for you.
Exactly.
Someone that is going to clean the house, that is going to wash the clothes, the dirty clothes, and a lot of things. So when you have money, it doesn't matter, I think, in a way, because you have money to pay for it. When you do it because you are bored, I have some friends that they have gotten married because they are bored or because they have, especially women have. I had a friend. She was 27 years old when she got married, or 28. She was 27, and someone told her, "Oh my God, if you don't get married, you're gonna be like Patty. So you're gonna be single for the rest of your life." Now I'm 43 and I'm not single. I'm married. I'm married. No, and they told her that she went to a bar. She got scared. Then went to a bar, and in the bar she met a person, and I used to laugh with her like, "So you just grab someone, pick it, and he's with the one that you got married." So the man he liked to drink a lot. Once that they got married, she had to pay for the wedding, for everything. She had to do everything. They got married. Once that they got married, he started hitting her. And we were going to pick her up from her house and place her in different houses. We went to work next day. When we arrived home back, she wasn't there because she had gone back with him. So the marriage wasn't working. And she got married because everybody was telling her that you need to get married, you need to get married, you need to get married. So she went to did it, and she didn't take time to choose for the right person. She chose for someone that wasn't matching her values and also was hitting her. At the end, this guy passed away because how he liked to drink a lot. He got cirrhosis and he died. So now she's finally free again. So these are the things that are very important. Another thing is like, sometimes I think that people get married for status, like for saying that, oh, this person, especially the ones that are looking, oh, no, I'm gonna get married with this guy because he's a doctor, he's an engineer, he's the president of this corporation. And it's like, no, imagine my friends knowing that I got married with this guy because he was a doctor, but the doctor is a jerk. The guy in finance is a jerk, and I'm not talking about this guy, I'm talking about other guys. I mean, okay. And I think that some other people, especially when they're young, they get married because of sex. And well, people who are married, we know that sex is not the most important thing in the marriage. There are a lot of things that are gonna, and I'm gonna say that are more orgasmic than sex in marriage. And I'm gonna say orgasmic. If you're an open mind, you're gonna know that orgasms is not attached to sex. Orgasmic is something bigger than just sex. So when you get married for sex, because no, it's because I'm gonna get married with her because look her body, and so I feel that I'm the best, the Superman when I'm with her. It's like sometimes the things with this kind of marriages don't work very well and they end in divorce. What do you think, Melo? You were laughing a lot when I was doing some things.
No, I agree. I mean, again, this goes back to the part about when you get into a marriage, I think a lot of people quickly forget that it's work, right? You know, we all think it's supposed to be like the fairy tale where you just, oh, everything's perfectly aligned and we're just going to live together and everything's just going to be pure harmony for the rest of our lives. But it doesn't go that way. Things change. Obstacles come. You know, there's a million, obviously, anybody who's been married knows there's a million things that you got to deal with on a regular basis. And these things require work, you know, and you're not always going to agree on everything, and we all have to learn to compromise, you know. Thankfully, and this probably plays a part, you know, you grew up with 11 brothers and sisters. I grew up with, well, 2 brothers, you know, so yeah, if you have siblings, for the most part, you're probably used to having to compromise, right? Whether on everything from, well, what we're gonna have for dinner to what movie we're gonna watch to, you know, where we're going for so and so's birthday. You know, there's always a compromise. You know, not everybody gets to choose what they want. And now, I don't know, in a lot of ways, I know people who they'll have 3 kids, and if they go out to dinner, they'll stop at 3 different places so that all the kids get what they want. And I'm like, my dad would have never done that. My dad had been like, that's too bad. You can go without that if you don't want nothing at where we're going, right? So I don't know. It's funny how that works.
No, this is another thing that, for example, I remember in a time I was talking with a friend, and she told me about that she went with a psychologist, and they have a kind of session that they do with marbles, and the psychologist asked her like to set up the marbles kind of accordingly to the roles of her family members, and she did it. And sometimes that happens. Later we're talking about it because it's a complete story. We're not gonna say all the history here, but she said that it's crazy how sometimes parents give more importance to the kids rather than the marriage. So when the kids grow up, what happens is that the parents they don't know each other, so the things start falling apart once that the kids are out. So that's the reason for the one that is very important that you kind of say that the marriage is two people. So and your marriage, you share it with your kids, you educate your kids, but the most important of the family is the marriage. Kids are after the parents. And these things, these habits some people have, like, okay, giving priority to kids, apparently it's not very well. So we don't give priority to our daughter. So since she gets upset, it's like, it's okay, later she's gonna get happy again. So we just relax. We have learned to relax. And it's working. But we have talked with her that because sometimes she said, and what about me? What about me? It's like, no, it's because we are married. So we take the decisions, and once that we take the decision, we let you know what's the part that you're gonna play. But we cannot ask you to, oh, okay, you have to decide with us. No, because this is a decision between Papa and Mama. That's it. And this is how the marriage has worked too. My love, well, what are some of the obstacles a marriage faces?
Well, we kind of like we mentioned, first thing is careers, right? Now everybody wants a career, and obviously that's not a bad thing necessarily. So I got to deal with the career, you got to deal with the career. Sometimes, and then you got to deal with uh kids now are going in a lot 10 different directions. So, but I think the career is first, right? That's
Yeah.
one, right? Again, kids is always going to be an obstacle. Not a bad obstacle. I'm not saying, oh my God, it's this, python in front of you that's going to eat you, but there's definitely some work that comes with kids, right? Right.
Yes.
Luckily, we only have one right now, but we've been trying for a second one. There's the kids are always going to be probably the biggest obstacle, and again, I mean that in a positive sense, but it is something that requires a lot of work and a lot of give and play. Let's see, other things. In-laws. How many everybody tell you in-laws, right? In-laws are some of the biggest obstacles. Sometimes you have the mother-in-law or again, hypothetically speaking, I'm not the mother-in-law who's maybe a little overbearing, or even the father-in-law, same with the father-in-law, maybe sisters-in-law, any of the in-laws, they can all be a little overbearing at times. Not saying they all are, or even the majority are, but there are, we've all heard those stories of so and so, oh, my sister-in-law is always over here, and she's always telling me how, what a bad cook I am or something. It's like, so these are some of the obstacles you got to deal with. How about you?
Yes, I think that you point out the two. Because, for example, with kids, uh, all depends how you have talk about how you're gonna face some situations in the marriage. Because, for example, if you agree how you're gonna handle money, how you're gonna handle family, and family, I'm talking about kids and I'm talking about in-laws. If you really talk about it and find a common ground, this is gonna work very well. But if you disagree about how you're gonna do it, it can cause a lot of problems. For example, I know people that they have some kids, but suddenly the kids come and can be the dad or can be the mom, can be the dad that just drop all his attention into the kid and forgets about the mom. Or the mom, once the kids come, the kid come, she drops all the attention into the kid and she forgets about husband. So if you start doing this, things are not gonna work because the problems, the obstacles or problems that you're gonna start having are gonna based on the needs of the kids and not the needs of the marriage. So marriage is two people and two people working together to educate kids. But when you give priority to the kid over, for example, I'm a woman, if I give priority to our daughter over my husband, things are not gonna work with him because he's gonna get tired. And what I wanna teach her to my daughter in conscious, how to say, yes, in conscious. In a way, I'm gonna be teaching indirectly how to manipulate the situation. And kids, since we on their estimator kids, they're super smart. Believe me, they're super smart. So if we let them, they can manage the things in their way if we allow them to do it. And talking about in-laws, sometimes people, especially for example, I had the fortune and we have the fortune. I think that our moms were gonna be very nice, but we had I then met my mother-in-law and he then met his mother-in-law because both of our moms are dead. They pass away. But for example, I got some issue, and my dad loves him, and his dad loves me. So we didn't have this situation. My brothers and sisters, they love him. They like to talk with him. and his brother too. But he has a sister-in-law that his sister-in-law is kind of, she has a different personality than mine. So we have this situation, maybe because both of us are control freaks. So, but for example, before he got married, he was very involved with the family of his brother and his sister-in-law. They were hanging out together for all places. So she was the one deciding where they were gonna go, how they gonna go, and everything. Once that I came to the family, she wasn't allowed to control my husband activities. So it was my work. And as a good Latina, a good Mexican, I did it. I'm doing my duty. No, it's like I don't control what he's gonna do, but he is here in the show. No, I'm kidding, man, I'm kidding. No, but I mean, it's like we talk, and also I told him, I don't like her because one day we traveled from Michigan to Florida, and we arrived to the middle of the way because we're gonna pick up some things. So traveling from Michigan to Florida, it's a long way, a long trip. So we were driving all day, and we decided, okay, we're gonna meet here, so we're gonna go to eat and blah blah blah. No, so literally they made us to cross all the city to go to a restaurant that was in a place that she wanted us to be. I didn't know the city; I never have been there. And later, 1 hour to get out. Later, I was thinking, why she did that? Why someone with common sense is gonna do that, knowing that we're traveling all this long trip? Why she made us? We lost 2 hours or maybe 3 hours just to meet them there and come back. It's like, for me, it was unfair because if the situation had been opposite, I was gonna say, no, you know how you are traveling a long trip. Let's us to be closer to you and find a place, a restaurant close to the place. So this is gonna be on your way. It's something common sense. But well, we had an argument about it with my husband. At the end, I usually don't fall asleep when he's driving, and he doesn't do the same. He does the same when I'm driving. So that time we said no. We're at like 2, 3 in the morning when we could have a ride like at midnight. So I said, I'm gonna fall asleep. I don't care. I was upset, but later we talk about it, and this hasn't happened again. It was like 3 years ago, so it hasn't happened again because now she learned which that was. Okay, my love.
Okay.
No, something else you want to add?
No, not about that.
My love, people are gonna think that.
No, that was again, I mean, I understand your side and but I don't know what was coming from their side, so I can't really comment.
No, yes, in that time he didn't know anything, so we talked about it later. But I mean, these are the main issues that people can face. So sometimes you just have to, how do you say, draw your line in the sand, on the sand. Sometimes you have to do it. I don't like to be a confrontational person. So I'm all about communicating. You have to communicate with people, and you have to speak with them in a nice way without making too much drama. But sometimes after that you have done this and the things haven't worked, you have to draw your line on the sand, and it's what I did with her. But I let him know before I spoke with her. I let him to know what I was gonna do because at the end I knew that I didn't want to cause him any issue because it's his family at the end too. Well, it's his family, and the one that is his.
Well, it's your family too.
Yeah, it's my family now too. And that's it.
Any final comments?
No comment.
I just want to make that final comment that I mentioned. Your dad, my father-in-law, once said that when you're to find your companion, your spouse, whatever you want to call it, your partner, you have to find someone who stimulates you here, and there. And you think about it, it's easy to find somebody who stimulates you in one of those areas. Probably not that hard to find one who stimulates you two, but all three is very difficult. Very difficult to find all three. So anyway, that's all I have to say.
That's just for the one that we took so long to get married, because some women said that there are no more men, good men. I said that they are. The only thing is that I said that if you want a man with specific characteristics, you have to work to be the woman that this man deserves in the opposite side too. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much. This was a new emission of the Laura Pipkin Show. Please subscribe. We need more followers, and you can share this episode if you like it. And all the comments that you want to let us know, please just write them.
Disagree with anything we said? Tell us what you think.
Exactly. No, exactly. So if you have some you think different, just let us know, and we can discuss that here. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be with you here, and have a nice afternoon. Enjoy your weekend.